Okay, quick video about using pentatonic shapes to get licks, and using simple licks as building blocks for bigger licks and then for a whole solo. So let's take E minor pentatonic and E minor blues. So here's E minor pentatonic, shape 1 at the 12th fret. So it's cold in this room, which is why. Yeah. 12, 15 frets, 12, 14, 12, 14, 12, 14, 12, 15, 12, 15. Yeah, and if you put the flat 5 in, then you get the blues scale. 12, 15, 12, 13, 14, 12, 14, 12, 14, 15, 12, 15, 12, 15. Okay? So, start really simple and think of 2 strings at a time, as we were doing, and remember, use expressive techniques, so vibrato, bends, slides, yeah, and then you can play some really simple lines and they'll sound good, right? They'll sound expressive. So I'm going to concentrate on the top 2 strings, yeah, the B and the E string, and I'm going to slide in to the B, and then I'm going to do a little half bar on the top E string. Yeah, so just that can be a lick, okay? And then you can add to it, yeah? But just take that at first. You can do it with 2 fingers, or the rolling finger, where the tip of the finger would go on the B string and the flat of the fingerprint part would go on the top E string. Your last note, add vibrato. Then, so that's one move you can make, yeah, and then like I said, add to it. Yeah, you can add any note from the scale, add to it, and then build it up from there. Yeah, so, but take little sections at a time, little building blocks. So that's one. You can try it on the other sets of strings. Some of them are going to work better than others. The top 2 strings, it sounds nice. Okay, so then the next thing I did was take a simple pattern of, still thinking of just 2 strings and the top 2 strings again. So I'm on the top E string, pulling off from the 15th to the 12th fret, then 15th fret of the B string, and then back to the 12th fret of the top E string. So 4 notes, 1, 2, 3, 4. Going to add vibrato to that last one. Of course, you can do it at different tempos. And then you can add, you can try that shape on other sets of strings as well. From the shape, from pentatonic shape 1. That's on the B and the G string, or blues shape 1. Yeah, they both work, and just as I did then, you can add extra notes to them. But first of all, before you add extra notes, just get that simple building block. And see if you're playing it. See if you're playing it okay. That is, see if your technique is good enough so that you can make it sound like something you like the sound of. Okay, so I had that shape, or that pattern, sorry, on the top 2 strings. Now try moving it to the rest of the pentatonic shape of the blues shape. So we got to the B and G string. So that's the blues, because I'm going to the 15th fret on the G string, and that's the pentatonic because I'm going to the 14th fret on the G string. around with that, and yeah, slight difference there. Now next two set of strings, middle two strings, G and D, and that's a classic, isn't it? And you can just keep on the 12th fret the G string, not bending at all, just vibrato, or you can do that thing of, because this is the flat third in E minor, you can bend it up slightly to suggest the major third. And I'm doing that typical thing of a blues bend where you mute it, you bend up and then you mute it so you don't hear the note come down. And the easiest way probably to do that is just put your pick back on the string. So you bend up, put the pick back on the string, and that mutes it. And then again, just add something simple from the scale shape. Once you've mastered this, yeah, I mean those are two different licks in themselves. Once you've mastered that, master the small things first, yeah, and then the bigger, longer lines will sound better because your small units, your units of those lines sound good. And then I just added two notes from the D string, yeah, the 14th fret and the 12th fret in any order. Yeah, that was 14, 12, 12, 14. You get the idea. But master those little units first. Carrying on to the D and A string, just this pattern. Again, that's a nice one. I'm sure you've heard that in lots of blues stuff. Bottom two strings, A and E. Now that's crying out to be resolved, right? But in itself, it's a nice line, a nice lick. And then as a resolution, I was just sliding from the flat 5 to the 5, that is fret 13 to 14 on the A string, and then getting fret 14 on the D string, resolving on the root note, the octave of the root note. Okay, and then looking at going back to the top two strings and now actually adding the G string. So top three strings, just a classic blues thing in a blues lick in shape 1. So you're on G string, 14th fret. You're bending up to the next note in the scale, which you can either find on the 16th fret, the G string, or the 12th fret, the B string, to stay in shape 1. So play that note, that's the one you want to bend up to. And get used to the feel of it, how much you have to push, how much force you have to exert to get that note. I would go on the same string, play the note, I want to bend 2 frets up, and there it is, right? And I'd have to get used to that on this guitar at this area of the neck. Yeah, they're all different slightly. Okay, so bend, a full bend, yeah, so that is 2 frets or a tone. And then bar, as we just did before, bar the B and top E string, 12th fret. And that's typical lick that you hear as the beginning of a longer lick, or just as a lick in itself, often repeated. Yeah, so when I'm finished with this bent note, the G string, I pluck I take my finger off it, but as I take my finger off it, the string releases, comes down and touches the tip of my first finger, which is doing the job of muting that G string, so you don't hear any more of it, as well as doing the job, this first finger, of fretting the B string 12th fret, so that you get that note. And then, like I said, I'm doing a half bar to get that note on the top E string as well. And then you can add notes, yeah? Take it a little bit at a time. Come back. Take it a little bit at a time. Maybe you just add one note to it at first. First of all, as I've been saying, just get this bit right. And there's a variation to it where you can let them all ring out. Yeah, it's up to you. Two different ways of doing it. Same notes, you're just in one of them letting them all ring out at the same time, and in the other, that G note, note on the G string, which is actually the note A, being bent up to the note B, is stopped because you take your finger off it, and then it gets muted by the tip of the index finger. Now, once you've mastered that, just try adding the note on the 15th fret of the top E string with vibrato, and then with a slight bend on it, because what you're doing there is what you did there, 12th fret of the G string. It's the flat third here, and you're bending it up slightly to suggest the major third, flat third or minor third to major third. And of course you can bend it a full half tone. Or just a little quarter bend, which is just a suggestion. You're moving out from the minor third towards the major third. So you can try just adding one note like that, and you can also add the note on the 15th fret of the B string, and then when you're comfortable with that, add more notes. Yeah, so that was 12th on the E string, 15th on the B string, back to 12th on the E string. Choose your own notes. Yeah, just build up. Say a note at a time, so that you're making your lick longer, and then eventually you'll be basically making whole lines, stringing licks together. So that's, like I said, is a classic blues thing that people do in box 1 or shape 1 pentatonic on the top 3 strings. Another classic thing they do on the middle 2 strings. Those 4 notes, or 5 notes because I'm bending up. Now again, it's a G string, 14th fret, which is note A, which I'm bending pretty much to the note B. So a whole tone bend, or 2 frets up. Variation is you can bend just 1 fret up. Okay, so you're doing the bend. You're letting it release and come back down. So that's you're hearing the note on the 14th fret of the G string again. Then 12th fret of the G string. Then you're on the D string. And that is 14, 12, 14. And again, if that's your last note, add vibrato to it. Whoops. And it can be a long note, sustained with vibrato, or it could be a staccato. That other stuff. An easy thing to do is just bar either the D, G and B strings, or just the D and G strings, half bar, and you're going fret 12, fret 14, and back to fret 12, and then resolving on the 14th fret of the D string, which is the note E. Oh, bit out of tune there. Which is note E, which is the root note. Yeah. But mainly get this little section first, get this little fundamental building block first, and then start adding notes to it. I just did that for whatever reason, but you can just add one note at a time. Okay, that sort of thing. Okay, hope that helps. Let's stop.